All right, everybody, welcome to the show. We are on part 2 of talking about modesty. And today we're going to get into the weeds because today we want to know, okay, what is modesty really about? Is it about inches of skin you're showing, or is it something else going on? And we're also getting into the idea, and this is important for your kids, and maybe you want some of your kids to listen to this show, because today we want to get into where we have failed as parents to teach our kids how to find their identity, or if I can put it this way, finding a way to please the one they love the most, which is supposed to be Christ. And what does that look like? And I believe we have failed. I know I've failed at it. And so we want to talk about how that is at the core of this whole modesty talk. So stay with us. We got some toes to step on, so stay tuned. This is the Renton Rathman Show. Okay, everybody, welcome to the show, and if you have not done so, if you have been having a rebellious heart, if you have been just falling away from what's true and right, then now is the time.
I'm begging you, please subscribe.
Yeah, do that. Subscribe. And hopefully today we will offend you enough to want to leave comments. So if you have comments you want to leave on YouTube comments or on Spotify comments or whatever, those are the ones I check the most. So, and I will personally respond to you. I promise. And so, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if there was something we missed and we need to do another show to fix it. Help me with my algorithms. Okay. So today we are talking about modesty. This is our part 2. If you missed part 1, make sure you go back and listen to part 1, because that kind of lays a lot of groundwork with what we're going to talk about today. I promised in part 1 that we would talk about young men. And so what I want to get to today is what is at the heart of the whole modesty talk. I want to talk about young men and what their responsibility is when it comes to modesty. And I want to talk about the problem that we have, even in the Christian conservative realm, about this whole thing. So a little while ago, there was a commercial, and I didn't watch the commercial. My wife said, don't watch it, but listen to it. So I listened to it, and it was some blonde chick talking about her jeans, and it was American Eagle jeans, and she was talking about her jeans, and then she says, my jeans are blue, and I was like, okay, but everyone's really excited about this. So the liberals were upset because they want to turn into a race war, or at least a body-shaming war where, the only good shape is someone that's thin or whatever. I don't know if she's thin. And then the other side, and this is what really bothered me. I expect that out of the liberals. They'll find something to hate about the world. But what really disappointed me was the conservatives coming out about this commercial, celebrating, and I get it. They had a lot of trans fatigue and body shaming, where everyone's so upset about body shaming that they have all kinds of, weird nakedness that everyone's showing nowadays. And so when they see this young lady who looks like a girl, is a girl, and, it's not woke, I guess, and they're all excited about it. Even before Charlie Kirk was murdered, he was all excited about this commercial as well. And that really bothered me because I thought, are we really so upset over the LGBTQ world and all the stuff the liberals have done that now we're welcoming back softcore porn where some young lady is showing off her body, and we're so fatigued with the other side that we're like celebrating looking at this girl's body and her tight jeans or whatever it is. Pornography will always be bad, and pornography isn't always just about the hard stuff. It can also be the way you are looking at some girl's body. and how they display themselves. And this is insane that we have gone so far into our being a good Republican that we forgot what the Bible says about staring at women's bodies, and even if they are showing them to the world, that we should find shame in that. Okay, now that I've lost half my listeners, let me reintroduce Amy Molina, who is with us again, to talk about this important issue, because when it comes down to this modesty issue, it's really about something much deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's about how our young people, and young people becoming older people that don't realize they've gotten old. If I see one more pastor in skinny jeans, I'm going to vomit. But as this whole attitude of my individual identity must be expressed. Mm-hmm. How do we? And this is going to be, and I keep putting you on the spot with these very general questions. But how do we reach the next generation to help them understand that the world is lying to you about this whole identity thing? That expressing what's really in you is the worst thing you could do, because what's really in you is terrible.
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
Why? Okay. How do we reach the next generation to help them see that the best identity is the one we all should love, which is Christ? Yeah. How do we get there?
Well, you do keep asking these big general questions. And honestly, I'm just thinking, what have I said to my 16 and 13-year-old? How have I? I'm not saying that I've done this perfectly, but I think in a world where everything is, especially for a teenager, where it's so unstable and everything's in flux, their emotions are in flux constantly. What they like today, they hate tomorrow kind of way of living. I'm like, girl, Christ is the only solid thing. He's the only solid, steady thing that you can count on. Your emotions you can't count on. Your friends, to a degree, you can't count on, or they may change, or circumstances may change. Your education, all these things are going to be moving pieces. Mm-hmm. Your style can change. All of these things can change. But what is going to give you steady faithfulness that will really, really actually please the Lord is trusting in Him and finding yourself in Him. And that's solid.
Yeah.
That's a solid ground.
That's awesome. Okay, so when I was a kid, this is confession time.
Okay.
When I was a kid, we used to sneak into rated R movies.
Yeah. My husband did that too.
And one of the movies that I snuck into as a kid, it was a Christmas movie about a guy in this big skyscraper where these people had taken over the skyscraper, and all these people were, they kidnapped all these people, and this one guy had to save them all. I won't name the name of the movie, but it's definitely a Christmas movie. And so this one guy had to save them all, and he's going through through all the pipes and all that stuff, and blowing people up and shooting people. And when I saw that guy, I thought, I want to be that guy. Mm-hmm. He was manly. He was funny. He was getting stuff done. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was bad people.
Yeah.
And he was eliminating the bad people. And I wanted to be someone that eliminated bad people like that guy.
Yeah.
And be a hero. What I didn't have at that time in my life was someone that could show me, okay, the things you're emulating. Mm-hmm. There are some things you're emulating that are really good. Being a hero, helping people, saving people from certain death. Who is someone we know that is saving people from certain eternal death? That's exciting, but no one was guiding me. Mm-hmm. All I had was, I know that guy looks cool. I want to, kind of be built and strong like that guy. I want to be able to use weapons like that guy. I want to save people and get glory like that guy. Mm-hmm. And there was no one to temper me to say, okay, there's some things that you're emulating that are crummy, and it's just self-glorification. But there's some things that you're emulating that are good, and they're just like the guy you actually want to be
Right.
like.
The real deal.
The real deal. But no one taught me that. And so what I found is Titus 2. As I got older, I realized that the church is neglecting Titus 2. Titus 2 says something that every teenager abhors, which is old people are useful. And so, and I get it, kids. If your parents are forcing you to listen to this, I get it. You're in Walmart, you're going through the self-checkout, and a person that still can't figure out how to open their own phone is now going through self-checkout, and they're trying to write a check. And you are like, what is happening? These people know nothing about, but they insist. Anyway.
A check? What's a check?
Yeah, right.
Thank you, millennials. Yeah. So we often tend to think old people are useless because they don't understand technology,
Right.
because the new wisdom is technology.
Right.
But this is what Scripture says in Titus 2. This is Paul talking to Titus, a young man that Paul has mentored as a son. And he says to his spiritual son that he has mentored, a younger man looking to an older man to say, how should I live? And this older man even being someone that says, hey, act like me, because I'm acting like Christ. So the things that Titus saw in Paul, he admired about Paul are the things that Paul is doing that looks a lot like Christ. So what I'm getting at here is there's this pattern where Paul says, act like me, because I'm acting like Christ. And so he's teaching young men, hey, look at the good things I'm doing that looks kind of cool. That's actually like Christ.
Yep.
And that's how you get to know how to act like Christ, because I'm trying to do that, and you can emulate what I'm doing. Older men, Paul says to Titus, older men are to be sober-minded, dignified, self-controlled, sound in faith, in love, and in steadfastness. Okay, now we've been yelling at the...
You guys got more commands.
Yeah.
You got,
We've been, and it doesn't say this pleases, I'm sure it does.
it does, but
But, the women are saying, be gentle,
yeah.
and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
This pleases the Lord. But to the men, it's saying, older men, this is what you're supposed to be. Sober-minded, dignified, self-controlled, sound in faith, in love. That's the hardest one, because most men can do the other things. And in steadfastness. Then it talks about the women and how they're supposed to teach the younger ladies
women.
how to act in this world. And we can get into that. But then verse 6 says, likewise, this is going back to the men, urge the younger men to be self-controlled. Show yourself in all respects to be a model of good works, and in your teaching show integrity, dignity, and sound speech that cannot be condemned, so that an opponent may be put to shame, having nothing evil to say about us. So what it's getting at is, older men, we want you to act like Christ, who is sober-minded, dignified, self-controlled, sound in faith, in love, and steadfastness, and pass that on to the younger men. So younger men, this is what you're supposed to be. And it's supposed to be this, instead of me going to the movie theater to decide who I want to act like, that there ought to be older men in my church that I look at and I say, I want to be like that guy.
Yep.
Why have we been missing this in the church? I mean, your husband is working toward being a pastor of a church. You have been connected to churches. I think they do this a lot with women because churches never know what to do with women. So okay, we're going to have a women's program.
Yeah.
And Amy, we need you to lead this women's program
Right.
because we men don't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do with all you women. So Amy, you do the things with the women.
Right.
And we feel very good about that as men.
Yeah.
We're like,
Great.
that's taken care of. The
My
women
wife's
will be
being occupied.
Yes.
Yeah.
taking care of those women. And then we might have a barbecue for the men.
Yeah.
Because men barbecue. And meat is important, let's face it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But why do we keep dropping the ball on this for men?
Yeah. So This is a particular concern, and I'm going to use the word passion of my husband's, who he's like, hold on. And he's, I know he's talked with you about this too, but just how important it is to have a men's ministry or leading the men and leading their homes. And honestly, on the flip side of that coin, even in a women's ministry, I'm like, well, I mean, I can talk with the women about how they should respond to their husbands and what they need, but they really need better leadership and better teaching in their home. And that's a man-to-man thing. And so, we are missing it. And I think, broadly speaking, in our churches, and where we put much more emphasis on our women's ministries than on our men's ministries. And I mean, we have examples in Scripture. I don't know, why aren't we doing it, Renton?
Well, I think you're getting at something, because you brought it back to the home.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting, because when we talk about modesty, we're usually talking about, how much skin is being shown, or like what I brought up in part 1, which was young men wearing pants that are way too tight, or
Right.
trying to celebrate men that are wearing bombastic clothes to demonstrate their identity in whatever political movement they're in. And what we have, and this is something that I think men need to hear. Men, if you are listening, listen closely. If you're mowing the lawn, just stop the mower for a second and listen. As much sensuousness as you allow into your heart will be the passiveness that you allow on your daughters and sons when it comes to modesty. We have as men dropped the ball in the church because we've dropped the ball at home. Mm-hmm. We have said, well, I don't go to pornographic sites, but when I'm looking through Facebook, there's things I'm seeing, and I allow myself to dwell on it. Because it's just Facebook, it's not pornography.
Right.
But it is pornography. It's just American Eagle jean commercial. It's not pornography. No, it is pornography. And as you start allowing these things in, you feel like and this is something that a lot of women don't understand about men. The more we feel like a hypocrite, the more we will try to not be a hypocrite by allowing more sin. Say, well, I don't want to be a hypocrite. And so how could I tell my daughter she can't wear that when I've already allowed all these other things in my mind, in my eyes? The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, the pride of life has been a big part of my private mental life. So I'd be a giant hypocrite to say she can't wear those jeans. And besides, I don't want to disappoint her. Or that my son, who is wearing clothes that don't look manly at all, but I've allowed all this sensuousness into my brain. Now, people don't know about it, but I've allowed it, and I'd be a giant hypocrite to start putting on brakes of my kids. I want them to like me. And so when we start doing that, I'd say that's problem number 1.
Yeah.
Problem number 2 is we have allowed the world to tell our kids that you can emulate mom and dad all the way up until you're 13, and then they're stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have watched TV that has proclaimed the stupidity of parents.
Yeah.
Especially the male figure of the home. The head of the home looks like an idiot all the time in what we're watching. And we have put it in their brains, we have allowed it, and then we get to church, and we've also allowed the idea that older people are useless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think you're right. We have failed at home. We have failed in the church. But on the female side, from the work you've done, how do you turn that around in a church? So you have a church that's just trying to be a church, and everyone's just kind of getting along, everything's fine, but you see this pattern start forming. The girls are becoming feminists, and if you do the research, Gen Z, the young men are becoming more and more conservative, the young ladies are becoming more and more feminist. How do you turn that around in a church?
So, I mean, even with what you're saying, what I hear is we have not fostered in our own hearts or in our homes or in our churches an actual love of modesty. It's not just a duty, but like I think that's how a lot of people approach modesty is, well, I have to do it. I have to be modest. And so that's why they reduce it to, very minimal, list of rules of things to do. But if you're saying even for the men, they're not cultivating in themselves an actual love of modesty and in themselves and how they dress, but also in honoring women that are modest. Or their wives, their mothers, the older women in the church. I think so much is caught and not taught in our homes. And when we are not honoring, even purposefully, intentionally honoring men and women that are modest and even calling attention to that as this is what's beautiful because God says it's precious in His sight, then our kids are going to catch on to that. Yeah. And so, like, with my teenagers, I'm encouraging them regularly. Like, if there's a woman that you admire in the church, go ask for coffee with them. Go ask them if they'll be your mentor. Go like turning them to the other godly, faithful, modest men and women in the church as a part of their ongoing discipleship. It's my job, but they're going to grow up and be out of my house. It doesn't matter what list of rules I give them. Yeah. They're going to have to find their way and their own convictions. And so I'd rather them do that with the help of godly men and women. Hopefully I'm in a church that is like that and that I can turn them to. But it seems that if you're not in a church that's possible, I don't know, pray about that. Yeah, right. Like for our young men and our young women, I think honoring them specifically and intentionally in our homes and in a small ministry, in a small church, if what you got is the 80-year-old woman, go talk to them, even yourself, because they're older than you. They're your tightest two woman. Yeah. So, with ourselves by example, and then turning our kids to do the same thing. Yeah.
So creating habits in their lives. Because if you create a habit in your own life where I'm going to be mentored by someone older than me, that's going to be a habit in my life that my kids will observe. Yeah. Right now,
oh, dad's being teachable. Oh, dad's being corrected. Oh, dad's being taught still at whatever age.
Yeah, and for some of our listeners, this might, maybe the step is more of a baby step. Have you placed yourself under a church? Yeah. Have you said, I'm going to be a member of this church? We're not going to just keep going here. And, I had a bad experience at church, first blah, blah, blah church of whatever. Mm-hmm. And because that experience was so bad, I'm not going to be a member here. I'm just going to keep visiting. What you're telling your kids is that I am not going to put myself under the authority of the church. And then we're surprised when they grow up and they don't put themselves under the authority of the church. They don't even go to church.
Right.
Right now, 64% more high school graduates who grew up in church will stop going to church.
Yeah.
That's 64% more than what was there just a few years ago. So I say that to say, how are we developing habits at home that demonstrate habits at the church? So if mom and dad are putting themselves under older people, I go to church, and of course I'm gonna do that too because mom and dad does that. They provide ways for me to do that. Here's another issue that I think is important for us to kind of tackle is if I'm going to start these habits of putting people over me, what are habits at home we can do with our kids And of course, I'm always getting to family worship on this.
Yeah.
But these habits we do at home are going to inform
Yeah.
our kids. How do you guys create habits in your home?
We've done different things over different seasons, ages of kids. Are you specifically referring to family worship or just in general?
That'd be a good place to start.
Okay. We've done a variety of things, and I think the best advice that we've ever gotten is like, keep it stupid simple, right? Just like, if it's just discussions at the dinner table, first of all, assuming that you're having a meal together regularly, and asking hard questions or hot topic questions or discussing sermons or just that kind of regular family dialogue at the table is, I mean, there's a lot of statistics out there for it, but it's just good.
Yeah.
It's the best simple stupid habit you could form if you don't already have that. It doesn't matter if your kids are 2 or toddlers, do it.
Yeah.
And it's just super important. And then in our home, we have a bilingual thing. And so things get a little complicated with language and what do we read English, do we read Spanish or whatever. So I won't dull you with all of that. But what we found is actually shorter passages are better.
Yes.
Just
Yes, that's
take
true everywhere.
very small bites.
Yeah.
And work through the vocabulary. And I think that applies even if your home language is just a monolingual home, that still works. Yeah. And build from there. Or just stay there. That's okay. I think that it's that habit of cultivating, honestly, it's the Deuteronomy 6. When you're walking on your way, when you're sitting at the table, whatever you're doing, you're just always having these regular conversations with your kids and with your spouse, even your kids watching you debate something at the table, which we do a lot of, which they learn a lot from. And oftentimes we have to come back and say, hey, I did not respect your dad at the table last night. I'm sorry. That was not appropriate, or it was wrong for me to do that. I've had to do that multiple times, but I think those are all teachable, opportunities with your kids. So, I mean, I would say that would be a foundational building block for your home.
Well, and those kind of habits provide those moments
where
you can really show that mama's teachable and daddy's teachable, which is a habit that they should have. When you apologize to your kids, when I apologize to my kids, or my wife apologizes and says, look, we shouldn't have said that in front of you, or we shouldn't have done that. Daddy shouldn't have, whatever it is. Yeah. They say, oh, daddy's teachable, so that's something I should be. Yeah. And you get those in those young years as they get older, because this is the thing. We have to even ask ourselves, how much influence do I want to have on my kids? Because some of us might be sending our kid, we homeschool, and so we have a lot of influence on our kids. Yeah. But when you send them away to a Christian school or a public school, you have to really put a lot of trust in that school, because they are going to be influenced big time. And I'll tell you what, I do a lot of talks all over America, and one of those talks is what is waiting for your Christian kid when they go to a public university. Because I've taught at public universities for a long time. And they are shocked when they hear that it's not this obvious, protesting and all that stuff. It's actually quite subtle, and it gets to their heart quickly and efficiently to get them away from the Lord. And I have had so many parents come to me after those talks and say, our kid walked away from the Lord, walked away, just one semester, walked away from the Lord. And what I see are people that have not been rooted and grounded both at home and at church as an influencer on them, where they have developed relationships with older people and the kid actually wants to be like that person.
Yeah.
And the parents have maintained a relationship where even though they're 13 or 14 years old, they still think, yeah, my parents are kind of dorky, but I do want to be like them when I grow up. Or there's that value they still see. Because I think we give up a lot of ground, and I'm a hypocrite, so I'm not saying I've arrived. What I'm saying is I give up a lot of ground when me and the kids watch TV. I give up ground because that is a huge influence.
Yeah, and drained time.
Yeah, it drains
time.
Yeah.
I mean, time you could be doing other more valuable things.
But what they're doing is looking at things that are godless that they are trying to set up to say, this is what you want to be like.
Yeah.
And our kids fill their ears with the music of the world, the TV of the world, the movies of the world, the media of the world, the TikTok of the world. And then we're like, I just can't believe they walked away.
Yeah.
Well, they have been influenced. You lose ground every time their eyes fall on that stuff. So either you have to be super intentional to get that ground back, or you need to erase that and find a way to keep gaining ground in the influence because we have got to be the best influencers of their life. When someone says, who's your favorite influencer, it's got to be, well, I guess it's my dad.
My dad, yep.
Who has the greatest podcast in America, by the way.
I know
Just
your
so,
kids say
not everyone
my
gets
dad.
to say that.
That's right. That's right.
But that is at the heart.
Yeah.
How do we reach the next generation? Titus 2 has told us, value the older people in your church. As they act like Christ, kids should look at that and say, I want to be like that.
Yep.
As you imitate Christ, they should look at that and say, I want to be like that. There's things in there that are, if I can put it this way, really cool.
Yeah.
That they should notice. And so if that grabs their heart, then you won't have this crazy reaction that we see, that we've talked about before. Either they say, oh, you're too strict, I'm going to become so free, I dress terribly, or I'm so content in the world of conservatism, I will wear a box, and no one will know, what my sex is because I am so pure that I become androgynous. And androgyny is, I think, just as sinful.
Yeah.
God does not want you to be androgynous so that you can be modest. That's not modesty. You've slipped the other way, and you've slipped back into Satan's hole again. And so what we need is to be influenced by Christ-like people where they learn to stop listening to their peers and listen to the older. I'll give you the last 30 seconds.
Ooh.
What's something you would want to say? Let's say we have teenagers listening right now, especially teenage girls.
Yeah.
Mom and dad made them listen. They're in the car. They have nowhere to go. And Amy has one last thing to say.
Gosh. That's too much pressure. I can't do it. Specifically on modesty, I would say find women that you really admire in your church. I really would. And seek them out. If your mom's not one of them, which she may not be, but I would hope she would be, but she may not be. But find women in your church that you do admire and study them, ask them questions. It doesn't matter if it's awkward, interview style. Just prepare a question or two and go up to her and ask her about how she decided to study XYZ, or do you enjoy being a mom, or whatever it is, and really invest and find women that you particularly local women, like people that you can actually watch their lives, not influencers, not people, even long distance podcasters or whatever. Find somebody that can watch you and you can watch them, and you can really glean from their life and learn from them and learn the good and the bad, because there's plenty of things. I think particularly older women can say what not to do sometimes. I mean, that's valuable also.
Yeah.
I think that would be, and that's learn from their modesty and learn to love what is modest, because it is precious in the sight of God.
Praise the Lord. Okay. And this is what I would say to you older people in the church. You are not done. You are not retired. We need you. We need you to be sober-minded. We need you to be wise. We need you to walk in love, that we might be able to give our kids to you, to give us help. We need help. And we need churches that invest in older people so that we as parents can help our kids see who they ought to admire. Because they may not understand what it means to have their identity in Christ, but they do know what it's like to be like John or Frank or Janice or whoever it is in the church, that they say, that is what I want to be like. And if they're acting like Christ, then we need that. So let that be a lesson to all of us. I hope that is helpful to you. I know we didn't give you exactly how many inches everyone's skirt should be, but hopefully this helps you understand that we are looking at modesty not as not in inches, but in heart, and how that affects everything else and who our kids ought to be. So tune in next time. I hope that was helpful to you. It was helpful to me. Tune in next week as we return to the Renton Rathman Show.